of different plants at the Arboretum and a mind-boggling number of leaves. Have you ever wondered what determines where the leaves are positioned on a branch of any plant?
Great question. I wonder if they follow a specific arrangement every time, or if the position of leaves are all just randomly different.
Just glancing at this plant and the ones we've passed, I see there are all kinds of different leaves, but at the same time, there does seem to be a consistent arrangement in that the leaves are kind of spaced out and not on top of each other.
That's useful, since I know the major function of leaves is to gather sunlight to make food for the plants. If they were overlapping, it wouldn't be too efficient in gathering the most possible amount of sunlight for the plant, would it?
I think angles might have something to do with keeping the leaves spaced out. It looks like the angle between two leaves that come right after each other on the plant are about the same. An angle is simply the space between two intersecting lines.
I agree. Let's try to measure the angle between the two leaves of the azaleas right here. We can take a protractor and put the horizontal line at the middle of the first leaf, and this is our first ray in our angle. A ray is a part of a line with a starting point, but no end point. Then we can measure the angle by looking at the ray going through the middle of the second leaf and what number on the protractor it lines up with. The place where the two rays meet is the vertex of the angle. The vertex is simply the point where the two lines, line segments, or rays meet. What is that angle for this plant here?
The easiest way for us to measure this angle is if we take a photo of a pair of leaves that grow right after each other. In fact, I found a number of these on the ground we can use to measure the angles.
Good idea. Let's see. How do we use the protractor we brought? Looks like there are two sets of numbers. One starts with 0 and goes to 180 degrees left to right, and the other set of numbers goes right to left, 0 to 180 degrees.
So we have to be careful to keep track of where we are starting from and use that same set of numbers. It doesn't matter if we are measuring the angle from right to left or from left to right. In other words, what matters is we are consistent and use the correct set of numbers to measure.
So here's a picture of the leaves from this azalea. I get about 138 degrees.
Let's try it again a few more times. They are all about the same angle of 138 degrees. But why that number? Is there anything special about that angle?
It turns out there is. If you can remember, leaves need to catch sunlight for photosynthesis, which is the process that green plants do to make their own food. Imagine that the angle between successive leaves was 90 degrees, a right angle. Here's a picture of what that would look like. The numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on refer to the leaves that follow immediately after each other. So in this picture, imagine that leaf 2 grew right after leaf 1 at a 90-degree angle to it, and leaf 3 grew right after leaf 2 and grew at a 90-degree angle to it, and so on. If that were the leaf arrangement pattern, then there would be just 4 orderly rows of leaves, stacked up right on top of each other, and they would block each other from the sun. So that would be an extremely bad angle for a plant trying to capture maximum possible light. There are some exceptions I should mention. For example, plants that grow in areas with lots of sun.
You might be wondering if there is a best angle where the leaves can overlap the least. The azalea plant we see here has an arrangement that looks like this. So here, leaf 2 grew at a 138-degree angle from leaf 1, and leaf 3 grew at a 138-degree angle from leaf 2, and so on. Using some geometry and other math, you can prove that this is an ideal, least overlapped angle. That's the angle we measured, and it is between 137 and 138 degrees. So how cool is it that the plants have naturally evolved to discover that ideal angle? It is a really cool way to think about math. Geometry has never felt this interesting to me.
I love to think about how math is alive in all of the plants we see all around us.
When I take a walk in my neighborhood park, I'm going to look for the golden angle and to also see what other angles are at work in the plants all around us in nature.